weekend right here on CRN. So if you love wine and you love great food, it's What's Cooking on Wine right here on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN Digital Talk Radio. Chuck Wilder here with Paul Stern up there near the Hollywood Hills at the network. And we are live across America on this radio station or cable system and around the world at crntalk.com, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Blueberry, Blackberry. Oh, there's so many ways to get us. Hey, tomorrow's guest, Christine Hansen. She is with Americans for Prosperity. We're going to be looking at the damaging effects of the Medi-Cal and medical device tax. Very interesting. Falls under, the Affordable Care, well, we know who. Orrin Hudson, he is a former law enforcement officer and founder of Be Someone Incorporated. And he's on this tour working with youth, parents, police departments, organizations, and schools to both educate and try to stop the nonsense going on with our youths and police, especially. Alex Newman, regular contributor to The New American. He is the co-author of a brand new book about to be released entitled Crimes of the Educators, How Utopians Are Using Government Schools to Destroy Americans' Children. But we're going to be talking about his latest article, Exploding Smart Meters. That's right, Exploding Smart Meters. Spy on your water use. Exploding? Oh, yeah. Right now, let's go to Frosty Woldridge. He's bicycled around the globe 100,000 miles plus on 6 continents 10 times across the United States. His published books include America on the Brink, also How to Live a Life of Adventure. His latest is How to Deal with a 21st Century American Woman, Co-Creating a Successful Relationship. Interesting, entertaining book. And most of his articles can be found with News with Views, Cap's Web, Before It's News. He's everywhere. Frosty, how are you?
Chuck, good afternoon, sir. And boy, oh boy, what a discussion we have coming up here. And I hope that there are millions of listeners across America, Canada, and the world to discuss, of course, my favorite topic, overpopulation and immigration, that is the driver of that. So, yes, let's get to it.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, I got your Part 6, and I just got your Part 7 this morning somehow. I can't remember how I got that. I thought I found it on Facebook or something. Yeah. But anyway, Part 6 is Immigration Shutdown Now. This Heart Within Me Burns. 7 is the large consumption cost raising animals for food. Well, we've never talked about that one before. But let's look at this Part 6, shall we? Let's get into that one first.
Sounds good.
You have so many excellent photos on this and different links, and perhaps I'll let you kind of explain, because you start out with this bird life on Midway Island in the Pacific Ocean, and I guess Samuel Taylor, what is his name, Coleridge?
Coleridge, correct.
Coleridge, yeah. He wrote, Until my ghastly tale is told, this heart within me burns. And you kind of feel that way right now, don't you?
Well, there's no question about it. I hope that everyone appreciates that the reason I'm writing this 15-part series, Immigration Shutdown Now, stems from the fact that we're about to add 100 million legal immigrants into our country within the next 30 years. And that number is verified by the Pew Research Center. It's certainly verified by NumbersUSA.org. It's verified by the U.S. Census Bureau, and also the Fogel-Martin U.S. population projections. So this is not if this is going to happen. Yeah. We are a civilization that chose to be 2 children on average per female since 1970. And what drove us to add 100 million people since 1970 is the Immigration Reform Act of Teddy Kennedy and Howard Metzenbaum back in 1965.
Now, Frosty,
yes.
let me ask you, with all these, what they say in the census and everybody else and all these research studies and how many we're going to get, is this also including King Obama and his immigration surges and the non-existence of doing anything about immigration laws? I mean, couldn't it even be twice as bad?
It's going to be much worse than that, because the series that I'm doing right now, Immigration Shutdown Now, in Part 6, This Heart Within Me Burns, has to do with just legal immigration and then their children, their offspring, and then their chain-migrated relatives. That's the legal immigration flood into this country within 30 years. At the same time, the illegal flood, if it continues as it is right now, on average, 500,000 to 700,000 illegal aliens violate our borders every year right now, because the borders are not being guarded, they're not being turned back, and you have this president right now actually flying them in, because he doesn't want them to
from
suffer.
The 3 countries, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to suffer the crossing of the desert, so they're actually, on your taxpayer dollars, flying these children in and other illegals into the country to be reunified with their families. And
well, at least, Frosty, he's bringing them from the countries that, by some coincidence, just seem to turn out the worst gang members there are, like MS-13. But go ahead.
And not only that, but you have the drug cartels of Mexico, the Medellin, and you go right on down the line, and they're coming into our country, and they're coming in at a high rate of speed. And so the 100 million will probably be somewhere closer to 120 or 130 million because of the birth rates, because of the jackpot baby, or what's called an anchor baby birth rates of 350,000 per year. Once you get the births in here, then the mother also gets to stay here. So that's 700,000 right there each year. So this thing is going to get really big and really ugly in the next 30 years. I'm just dealing in this particular instance with the legal immigration. And one of the things that I'm trying to make Americans understand, because I'm one of the very few journalists out here who has already seen what's coming. You might hear the Cassandra syndrome. You might hear the Faustian bargain with the Hobson's choice as the final answer. But I'm trying to educate Americans to the underlying consequences. And with this Part 6, Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote, "Until my ghastly tale is told, this heart within me burns." That comes from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Right now, in that Part 6, you can go to newswithviews.com and just look at other Wooldridge articles, and you will see a 4-minute video about Midway Island and how the albatross and all the other birds out there are eating so much plastic bottle caps, they're eating plastic toothbrushes, they're eating plastic Bic lighters and all that, because they don't know the difference between a colorful plastic bottle cap and a piece of food. And as this photographer shows on Midway Island, this is 2,000 miles out into the Pacific, these creatures are dying because they're stuffing up their gullets. But that also, the same video could be shown for all the whales that are dying and all the drift nets. They're killing all the sharks and killing all the dolphins and suffocating and killing all these other fish. And of course, plastic doesn't break down. And we have obviously the 100 million ton plastic Great Pacific Garbage Patch, but there's actually 5 more big garbage patches around the world. Wow. And so what I try to bring into reality for all readers and Americans is this. Can you imagine the consequences will be multiplied by 100 million third world legal immigrants that come into this country, and they too will be throwing their plastic bottles and their debris into the rivers and into the oceans on the Pacific and in the Gulf and in the Atlantic, so much so that we're going to multiply that plastic debris into our oceans by 100 million more immigrants. And that's going to do more and more damage. Right now we're losing 100 million sharks, and I want to say that's been verified for the last 25 years now. It first came up in Life magazine back in 1990. I actually have the copy. And anyway, we're losing 100 million sharks every year because humans are killing that many off for shark fin soup and all the other reasons that they kill these sharks. And so I'm just trying to show Americans that not only are we adding all of these immigrants, but we're adding hundreds of millions of consequences in the same vein of this massive onslaught of our civilization.
And let me just remind the listener. See, when Frosty's normally on, we're talking about when they come in here and our water problems, takes more housing, more money for education, the road repairs. You got it just goes on and on and on and on and on, and we constantly talk about that. Today we're kind of saying not only that, but now look what they're going to be doing just with the plastic. And I would imagine, Frosty, and I may be off on this, but would you figure that if you're raised somewhere else in the world, chances are you're not going to be throwing as much plastic into the ocean as you will once you reach America?
Well, that's correct. Somebody that lives in Ethiopia, and I talk about this in one of the parts of the series called The Ecological Footprint. Somebody living in Ethiopia lives on 0.4 acres of land. That sustains that person. When that person from Ethiopia then, because Ethiopia is being overpopulated, they then flee that country for a better life here in America. That person goes from 0.4 acres of land to sustain him or her to 25.4 acres in order to sustain that person. And they go from walking to their outhouse. Now they have a car in the garage that they drive to the grocery store. Instead of growing their own food, they now have a heater in the house. They have hot water, which then takes more electricity, which burns more coal. And then their kids go off to school, and we have to build more schools, and we have to have more toilets, and we have to have more food, and we have to have more production. That comes out to 25.4 acres is to be destroyed in order to support that Ethiopian immigrant into America. Same thing with the Somalian immigrant, same thing with the Iraqi immigrant. And so you can see the mega consequences continue to grow. Chuck, you and I have been talking about this, and George Putnam, of course, for the last 15 years now, and the American people just simply have not understood, don't comprehend exactly what's coming our way. And I'm hoping, and you saw, look at those colorful pictures of those poor dead birds. Well, at some point in the future, there's no way to solve California's water crisis. There's no way to solve the plastics being discarded everywhere, and there's no way to solve what's really coming at us. And I'm just amazed that there isn't a national discussion, and that's why I created this series, Immigration Shut Down Now. We need to literally shut down all immigration. We need a moratorium on it. I hope you are getting an interview with my colleague, Phil
Professor
Caparo,
in Colorado.
Yeah, and he wrote the book, How Many is Too Many, which I'm holding in my hand right here. And the key is we have got to have a national discussion on how many millions and millions and unending millions of immigrants legally that we're going to take into this country, let alone the illegals.
Now, and let me tell the listener real quick what Frosty's talking about right now. He did a book review on this, on the book, How Many is Too Many. And this was over the weekend you did this. Yes. And it was at another site he writes for, and that is beforeitsnews.com. Beforeitsnews.com. And we got about 20 seconds. We got to take a break here. But when we come back on this book review, I know we've gone over this so many times, but let's just go over that first paragraph, about the cities, the main three cities, I think it is you mentioned, I guess it's New York and L.A., just to give you an example where, you can kind of look at how bad it's going to be. Frosty Wooldridge, author of How to Deal with the 21st Century American Woman. You can find his articles, newswithviews.com, capsweb.org, that's caps with an S, capsweb.org. Let me see, beforeitsnews.com, and of course then there's always frostywooldridge.com. Be right back.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
We are perfectionists. We do it right and don't stop until the job is done. We build commercial zero-turn mowers with maneuverability, power, and comfort. Who are we? We are Kubota. Now, during our More Power to You sales event, you can get long-term financing as low as 0% APR on new commercial-grade Z700 series mowers. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
Hi, this is Warren Eckstein. Get the jump on fleas before they get the jump on you. Cedarside Original from Cedarside.com is a must-have to eliminate fleas and ticks. Cedarside.com's products are made with 100% natural cedar oil and are safe for kids, pets, and adults. Cedarside's original organic bug spray repels and kills mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, flies, ear mites, mange, and more. Order some today. Go to Cedarside.com. Use coupon code Warren at checkout to get free shipping or call 800-842-1464 and mention my name, Warren Eckstein, Cedarside for people, pets, and premises.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, Ph.D., host of Healthline. Join me live to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. This month, our Dragon Cleanse LX is on special. This has been studied for its extraordinary ability to bind a wide variety of toxins in the gastrointestinal tract, especially those that have dicarbonyl chemical structures or that bind to calcium-dependent binding sites. Research suggests it doesn't bind beneficial nutrients because of its unique structure. With the ever-increasing amount of toxins in our food and our environment, here's a practical, inexpensive way to mitigate the problem. Buy 2 bottles and get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447. That's 800-370-3447.
Listen to Helpline daily at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
I guess Frosty Wooldridge, author of How to Deal with the 21st Century American Woman. And so from that book review, how many is too many? The progressive argument for reducing immigration into the United States. Bill Cafaro, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, it's Phil Cafaro. And the guy, ironically, Chuck, his book mirrors my book, America on the Brink, the next added 100 million Americans.
Yeah.
His research is equal to mine, and even in some cases he's gone a few steps further. And so, and this is a liberal. You know, I ski with him, and he's a good friend. He has a little bit different philosophy than I do, but he understands the ramifications of adding this another 100 million people, and he actually calls for a complete moratorium, which, of course, in my latest series, I call for a moratorium and literally reducing all immigration to less than 20,000 per year. And that's just people who want to get married to somebody from out of this country or whatever. But we simply cannot afford to continue on this path. As Phil Cafaro says, we simply won't be able to feed our own people, warm them, transport them, house them, and so forth. And that's the facts. That's what we face.
Yeah. And he says on the bottom here of this paragraph, talking about the populations of the 35 most populated cities. And he says, example, New York City jumps from 8.3 million to 16.6 million. Los Angeles increases 11 million to 22 million. And the question is, how do we water, feed, house, transport, work, educate, and care for that many people and still maintain quality of life and standard of living? And Frosty, the answer is?
We won't.
Absolutely. It's, you throw these figures at people, and I know a lot of people will say, yeah, well, I don't notice, it doesn't seem like 1 million came into L.A. in the last 2 years or whatever. It feels that way to me. Maybe I'm just one of those rare people, but it's so obvious. And to me, Frosty, I'm telling you, I've gotten to the point where I think the bottom line is, yeah, what can we do to turn America into a third world country and dumb us down? And the last 6, 7, 8 years, I think I'm seeing it exactly right in front of me.
Well, you certainly are, Chuck, and every person listening to this radio show, you're seeing the profound changes in your communities. And for the smaller communities where they're not really being injected at this point, but up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, they just brought in over 5,000 Somalian refugees, and they are absolutely destroying the educational system up there in Cheyenne. 100,000 Somalians right there in Minneapolis, St. Paul have completely destroyed the educational systems. The drug running has just become an art form there. You've got these kids going off to fight with ISIS because they are Muslims, and Muslims have one prime directive, and that is to convert or kill all non-believers. And when they don't get to do that, they start shooting each other up. If you notice the Muslim lands across the world, essentially in the Middle East, they have nothing but endless wars and tribal conflicts, and then as soon as they get into a first world country, you get the Fort Hood shootings, you get the Fort Dix Six, you get the Boston Marathon bombings, and you get Sharia law.
The Fort Riley thing that just happened a few days ago.
That's right,
Fort Frosty, talking about, I'll just tell you, one of your favorite people, I had him on last week, Robert Spencer, and they've done these studies, and they already know for a fact, I'm going to say 99.9%, but Robert Spencer said it's proven that at least 80% of the mosques in the United States of America are teaching hatred against Christianity and Americans. But they say, I didn't, these girls came into the mosque all the time, but I had no idea they wanted to join ISIS. Yeah, sure you didn't. But I know you like...
they recruit them. I mean, that's a fact.
Absolutely.
Islam literally cannot help itself. It is a religion born out of the barbaric mind of a man named Muhammad. And
all right, got to hold it, Frosty. There's our break time. We'll continue, and we know that they are very, very patient too. Very patient. Oh yes. Frosty Wooldridge. Hey, you want to get a copy of his book, How to Deal with the 21st Century American Woman, go to frostywooldridge.com. And let me see. I think it's still How to Live a Life of Adventure. That's also a website you can go to. Of course, you can find his articles, newswithviews.com, capsweb.org, and beforeitsnews.com.
Get things done with power, comfort, and speed in a Kubota RTV utility vehicle. Now you can get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 4 years during our More Power to You sales event. 0 down, 0% APR financing for terms up to 48 months on select equipment now through June 30th, 2015. Not available for rental, national accounts, governmental customers, or with some customer instant rebate offers. Financing through Kubota Credit Corporation, USA, subject to credit approval. Other exceptions may apply. For more information, call toll-free 1-888-465-8268.
For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, And you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinns.com.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners. Award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com.
Listen to Dr. Pat, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder with my guest Frosty Wooldridge. And go ahead, Frosty, you were talking about Muhammad.
Well, you know, and one of the things I did in my 23-part series on impregnating America with Muslims is quote some of the great thinkers of the last 300 years. And one of them was an André Servier, who was an historian who lived in French Algeria at the beginning of the 21st century. And this is just a short quote. He said, and I quote, "Islam was not a torch, as has been claimed, but an extinguisher. Conceived in a barbarous brain for the use by a barbarous people, it was and it remains incapable of adapting itself to civilization. Wherever it has dominated, it has broken the impulse toward progress and checked the evolution of society," unquote. When you look at Islam and how it treats its women, every liberal in this country should shudder. Every woman who has any concept of women's rights or appreciation how far women have come here in the 21st century, even here in America. Susan B. Anthony fought until 1917 just to get women the right to vote, for heaven's sakes. Well, that's never going to happen in Islam. They can't drive, they can't get educated, they can't vote, they are subservient to their husbands and all men, they can't walk outside the house by themselves, they can't dress as they please, they can't choose any other religion under threat of death, they face getting killed with honor killings, which we now have in this country. They have female genital mutilation, which completely desexualizes them, and of course they have arranged marriages. I don't know how anyone is rose coloring glasses this Islamic invasion of the Western world. But somehow we're just laying down and letting it happen to us, and no one's speaking up.
It's almost like the Game of Thrones lives in that community. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many centuries do you want to put us back? But it's all an advantage to a guy. You know, if you're a man, oh, yeah, Sharia law is a wonderful thing. Oh, boy, and all you got to do, is spin around 3 times, he's divorced?
Well, not only that, he gets 3 women, and what's happening over here right now is they're bringing in their 4 wives altogether, 1 wife plus 3 more wives, 4 wives, and this, of course, is it just completely antithetical to the American one man, one woman in a marriage relationship, and having the balance of a man and a woman. Obviously, Islam is so far out of balance that it's got 4 women and 1 man. I think the Mormons and the Muslims are the only ones that I know that do this kind of thing, but it's against the laws of our society. But in fact, if you go to Detroit right now, these Muslims have the 1 wife and the 3 other wives they bring over, and they're all on welfare. I'm not kidding you. They are living on welfare, and they call them extended family. And so, again, we're seeing by de facto immigration, Muslim and Islam and Sharia law being implemented in our country. We got thousands of cases of female genital mutilation going on right now. We've got thousands of cases of arranged marriages of these little 13, 12-year-old girls being sent off to their new 40-year-old husband. That's how barbaric this religion is, and we're going to see great conflict when it comes down to the wire on this thing within our own country.
But, Frosty, America's been dumbed down, and unless you're watching Fox, conservative radio, TV, reading the right people, listening to the right people, you don't know about it. You don't hear any of this on the mainstream media. You didn't hear Hillary saying, and my goodness, we got to get rid of Sharia law. We don't want that in America. And look at the latest Pew results on their poll about how 80% or 85% of the people say no more immigration, no more handouts from the federal, the state, the local to illegal aliens. Deport them. If you got 85%, let that be your number one, platform. Hey, Frosty, we'll get back to more on this, and also I want to make sure I get out your slogan. I want you to read that, the definition of the immigration shutdown. Very important. I want you to lay that on them here in a moment. But right now, let's sneak a call in here real quick. Al, Riverside, California, come on in.
Is this Battleship Chuck Wilder?
Yes.
Okay, Frosty, you'll never guess what happened. Right in the middle of this phone call, the local dame in the Riverside Press that does articles on water called me right in the middle of this thing, and she said, we discussed this thing. I said, you have to address immigration to infrastructure, whether it's our hospital system, earthquakes, especially water. And she said, you're not blaming immigrants, are you? I said, it's one concomitant part. It's a significant part. You have to bring that up. And then she said, okay. I beat her. She did this once before. After doing 12 articles on water, I finally called her up and said, ma'am, you have to address population growth. You can't expect us to have brown lawns like I do or plant a desert landscape and then canceled out with more people on the other side of the ledger. And she said, it's funny, my next article was going to be how that affects the water, the population growth. The article appeared, and it was about finding citizens, nothing about population growth. I called her back, and she said, what is this, 2 phone calls on water? I said, listen, sister, you've done 14 articles on water. I said, and she said, well, and you're getting on me? She said, well, I wasn't really going to address population growth, which is not true. She just called me back now. This is the 3rd time now. And I said, you have to address this. It's a concomitant part of the issue. Southern California is an arid earthquake zone. Now, if you want to bring that up articulately and someone wants to refute it, that's fine. And she said, okay. She said, it's funny, I've had 2 or 3 other calls about that. Now, this woman deals with the environment, and she couldn't figure out the ticket. I said, we can only do so much with this Band-Aid approach before you have to take the bull by the horns. So we'll see if tomorrow there's something that appears in there. Another thing, you were talking about Islam. Here's my take on Islam. Islam wants to stay in the 12th century, and they intend to use machine guns, rockets, and computers to do it.
I would agree, and actually they're staying in the 6th century, and that's when it started up. And to the first comment of the lady writing the series on water, there is a complete cognitive dissonance, which is an intellectual denial of reality that is going on. I've tried to get a hold of Bob Schieffer. I've tried to get a hold of Dave Gregory on Meet the Press and Face the Nation with Schieffer. I've tried to get on Charlie Rose, and those men will not touch this. Same thing with NPR, Terry Gross. You can go right on down the line. Men and women, the top people in the country. I have impeccable credentials, but they will not, and thus far, avoid any mention of overpopulation or immigration that's feeding it. And so, again, it has to be all of us citizens calling into that lady. She should have had 1,000 phone calls. I keep going into and writing Charlie Rose. I'm on Facebook. You all know me at Frosty Wooldridge on Facebook. I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. And
hey, Frosty, not to cut you off here, but yeah. I think there have been more calls than just a couple of three that she's mentioned. I think that she's, again, you call it cognitive dissonance. There is a mindset with these people, and also their higher-ups, that this issue is not to be touched. For example, if somebody writes and says, well, what about water vis-a-vis immigration? Another letter will be about, say, crime and immigration or traffic. But if you put them all together coherently, and they've been told, look, we don't want that letter in, not necessarily for me, but we don't want this connect-the-dot stuff in our paper. There are interests in both sides of the political spectrum that have a dog in this fight.
Well, the Denver Post does the same thing on this, and the New York Times, and certainly the Los Angeles Times, which is dying of thirst right now and dying of English-speaking readers, and yet the Los Angeles Times and the San Francisco Chronicle are both in the same boat, and they're sitting there and not addressing reality. Jerry Brown, he's sitting there and not addressing reality. Even our own governor here in the state of Colorado won't address reality. Yeah,
well, you know, it's funny. Final point on this. You guys are much more qualified to speak on this than me, but Jerry Brown was sitting with Mr. Gerke, his name is, the chief water guy, the guy that examines our snowpack. Now, I heard him once on the Huell Hauser show, just before Huell Hauser died. So I called Mr. Gerke up, and this is what I said verbatim. I had to go through several steps to get to this guy, and he seemed okay to begin with. I said, now, the Colorado River is beginning to fail to meet the basic needs of several states, and he agreed, yes. I said, the California snowpack is retreating, which also affects the water, and he said, yes. So therefore, we need to address population growth, which means addressing immigration, and you know what he said? I don't get into that. No matter how I asked the question, he would not grab the bull by the horns. So it's apparent what is going on here.
That's exactly correct. And as long as the American people, and that's us, folks, as long as we continue to say nothing, as long as we continue to do nothing, we are going to get the results of it. And again, as I've said many times, please join www.capsweb.org. That's Californians for Population Stabilization, run by Joanne Weidman. She's the national director for CapsWeb. And of course, numbersusa.org. We must create a national discussion, and you can do it by joining those organizations. It's for free. You get to write in the free faxes and make your voice heard, because otherwise, again, California grows by 1,654 people every single day of the week, all year long, on your way to growing to 58 million from your current 38 million, and it's going to be a nightmare come to life. And if you don't do something and take action, then your kids are going to be swimming in this nightmare called California with 58 million people who all want a glass of water but can't get it.
Frosty, definitely the final point. I told her, and she should know this, I said California's population by itself is larger than Canada, Australia, or New Zealand, and most of that in the South, and those are countries. We're a state. So you can't say we haven't been morally, ecologically, business-wise, and military-wise very efficacious on this topic. You can't gig us on this one.
Well, I can't. But the thing is, California keeps allowing mass immigration and illegal immigration to occur, and Jerry Brown hasn't done a thing to stop all of the illegal aliens that have gotten jobs in California. So the magnet continues, and so California really is on its way to becoming a third world country. And in fact, in my book, America on the Brink, I said that California is the bow of the USS Titanic, because California is going to take the brunt of the consequences that are coming because of mass immigration, both legal and illegal.
Okay, thank you, Al. You know, Frosty, when you talk about Jerry Brown and not doing anything, this guy he just doesn't sit back in the shadows, like a little silent mouse. He actually comes right out and encourages illegal aliens. He's made the statement, if I had my way, the border would be wide open. There wouldn't be any checkpoint. And then he brings out Luis Gutierrez from Chicago, it's like Jerry Brown, he throws fire, on our problem. It's all these water, the drought. What was it? I think it was $60 billion. I had a guest on. I think it was $60 billion in bonds that we voted to build new reservoirs, to build new diversion streams and things like that. Nope, they spent a little bit to save the smelt fish, and that was it. The rest of it, some little special projects making them money. Hey, we got a couple of minutes here. Would you tell the listener the definition of the slogan, immigration shutdown now? Do you have that in front of you by any case? You probably got it memorized.
Yes, I do. And one of the things I want every listener to appreciate is that we need this slogan as a national slogan. So the immigration shutdown now, urgency of it, this is the definition. Immigration shutdown now means the American people want all legal immigration dropped to less than 20,000 annually with compatible immigrants that fit our ethos and want to become Americans, and only those who benefit our country and or they marry an American and speak English. That means we want all illegal immigration stopped by arresting, prosecuting, and jailing employers of illegal aliens. We deport all illegal aliens by taking their jobs away and as we catch them. We want English mandated as our national language. We demand a cessation of Muslim immigration in order to protect our culture, language, and way of life. We can't save the world, but we can destroy our civilization. We demand a stable population that allows everyone to live, work, and thrive into the 21st century, especially our children, unquote. That's the slogan.
Especially our children. And, of course, one of the big highlights, English only. Boy, I remember, and George used to quote somebody about, English is the glue that holds our nation together. It's like, what was it, the Tower of Babylon?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It broke up everyone because their tongues were turned into different languages. And Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, said the two great dividers for any civilization are language and religion. And if you understand that, you are seeing what's happening to us when it comes to the Muslim religion and Arabic now making huge headway in this country. As their numbers grow, they will force all of our children, all of us, into this Sharia law, into Arabic, and of course the prime directive of Islam is to convert or kill all non-believers, unquote. And so we're going to see a different America if we don't stop what's happening. And this different America will not be one that you like. It will be squabbling nationalities, squabbling languages, squabbling worldviews that are incompatible with Western thought and with Western actions. You're going to see this country profoundly degraded and this country profoundly changed. And that's what we're headed toward right now.
More than likely, communism. And it's never worked, and it ain't going to work here. But I got to tell you, you need to wake up. And they're doing the damnedest to try to make sure you don't wake up, especially in our schools. Anything they can bring, they've gotten rid of religion. They fight you if you try to, stand up for your rights. It's a big battle. And you got one of the best guys fighting it right there, Frosty Woldridge. Get a copy of his book, How to Deal with a 21st Century American Woman. That's an entertaining book. It's not all about immigration, that's for sure. Hey, we're going to take a break. capsweb.org, newswithviews.com. Frosty Woldridge. We'll be right back.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resort, Ka'anapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool. Indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Ka'anapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kvhmaui.com. That's kvhmaui.com. Aloha.
Ka'anapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Let me take just a moment or two, if I may, and talk about a great place to eat. That's right, for you folks anywhere in the eastern San Fernando Valley, drop into Bob's Big Boys. That's right, in Sun Valley at 8274 Sunland Boulevard. Now, everybody remembers the name Bob's. They're getting bigger and bigger every day, and little old Bob carrying the hamburger in his checkered overalls is the same Bob that you remember from back through the years. And, of course, if you want to go in for a great lunch, remember their classic burger, the original double-deck hamburger combination. Delicious 100% pure ground beef in 2 patties with American cheese, lettuce, and our famous Big Boy special sauce. The name is Bob, and I think when you go in, you'll say, by golly, I'm sure glad that I found this restaurant because it's good for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. They've got all kinds of things, and all you have to do is remember. Bob's Big Boy in Sun Valley at 8274 Sunland Boulevard. It's a great place to eat.
Homeowners, there's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home and loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Call now. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
Hi, this is Bill Martinez. Join us every Monday through Friday from 9 to noon Eastern when we're covering the issues that matter most to you. From Obamacare, the latest from Russia, the Middle East, Israel, immigration, and more. We're talking with the policy and political experts so you can be better informed. It's Bill Martinez Live, brought to you in part by my friends at Good News Tax Relief. Let them help you get your peace of mind back by dealing with the IRS for you. Proven experience, proven results. Call 800-255-7500.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder, with my guest, Frosty Woodridge. Hey, let's see, we've been discussing Part 6. And on Part 7, immigration shutdown now, large consumption costs raising animals for food. So very little time. But you mentioned here some 38% of the world's grain crop is now fed to animals, as well as large quantities of soybeans, 3 times as many domestic animals on the planet as there are human beings. And the one thing, Frosty, and I'll let you roll with this in the little time we have, I question just about every single statement that comes out of the United Nations, but you have here, the United Nations report has identified the world's rapidly growing herds of cattle as the greatest threat to climate, forest, and wildlife. And this is Jeffrey Lean, environmental editor of The Independent. Now, I don't know if cattle are more of a threat than human beings when it comes to overpopulation. You take it away.
Well, thank you. Here's the problem with all this beef that we're raising. It takes 12 pounds of grain to add 1 pound of meat to a cow. It takes 2,500 gallons of water to add 1 pound of beef to a cow. And, of course, the average mature dairy cow, which weighs around 1,000 pounds, produces 148 pounds of raw manure each day, which equals to about 52,000 pounds annually. These things are verifiable. And so as our human population continues to explode through this immigration of our country, and I know I've said this many times before, and I hope each of you that is listening understands this dilemma, this predicament that we're in is not going to go away by ignoring it. it's going to visit us very soon, and it's visiting us right now. It's just going to exacerbate. So I hope that you are taking this in, because as these cows get fed all of this food, the corn and the GMOs, and then of course all of the chemicals that are put on the corn and the GMOs and the wheat and the grass and everything else that gets fed into these, you see it, you lose, because then you got to spend more gasoline to harvest all of these crops, and then you take these all to market. All of this creates more exhaust into our biosphere, more chemicals into our biosphere. Monsanto Corporation should, really, the CEOs of Monsanto should be brought before a world court.
Frosty, so the answer is vegetarian then, right?
Well, we need to literally stop growing our population. If we stay within the carrying capacity of North America and not add this 100 million immigrants, we may have a chance. But
all right, hey.
Vegetarian is good also.
Yes, I know. Hey, all out of time. Frosty Wooldridge. If they want to get a copy of your book, where's the best place to go?
Well, they can go onto Amazon and just go to Amazon.com, and you can get a copy. And that it's also on all of the different. It's in bookstores and so forth.
Great.
So
and
this that's the best way.
Immigration shutdown. This was part 6 and 7. And how many are there going to be? Did you say 16?
They're going to be 15 altogether, and you'll read them in the next 7 or 8 weeks. You'll read them on newswithviews.com, Chuck.
So we're pretty safe to know you're not going to be writing about women for a while. All right. Frosty Wooldridge, thank you, sir. We'll do it again. Capsweb.org, FrostyWooldridge.com, newswithviews.com. Tomorrow, Christine Hansen, the damning effects of medical device tax. Orrin Hudson, former law enforcement official. What are the young kids doing wrong when they come up to these cops? All right. Alex Newman. We're going to be talking about the smart meters. They are exploding. And, of course, they're spying on your water use. Thank you very much, Paul Stern. Thank you for listening. And slower traffic, please keep to the right.
Enjoying all your favorite CRN programming is easier than ever. It's right on your TV, through your local cable provider, and on the web at crntalk.com. But when you're on the move, stuck in a plane, train, or in your car, catch up on all the shows you missed. Or listen live to your favorites. Download our CRN app from your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Just search for CRN Digital Talk Radio. Or search for your favorite CRN shows on apps like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, uTunes, and Nobex. Now you have access to all of our great shows anywhere in the world and the ability to be part of them by calling our toll-free studio line at 800-336-2225. For more information on where and how to listen, log on to crntalk.com and create your own listening experience today.
The radio channels. The radio channels. CRN.
Welcome to Healthline Live, brought to you every day at this same time, Monday through Friday. Your host is Dr. Bob Marshall, Ph.D., a clinical nutritionist for over 35 years. He's successfully helped more than 50,000 people. That's why he's known for nutrition that really works. And he's here today to share nutritional secrets which have taken years to discover and which he's implemented on his own health journey. The supplements that Dr. Marshall recommends are almost all live source, free of questionable encapsulating agents, and have been created using the highest manufacturing standards available for dietary supplements. Dr. Marshall's comments have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. On each and every show, Dr. Marshall listens to your health and nutrition questions and provides education for your continued good health. And now, here's Dr. Marshall.
Welcome to Healthline Live, your 21st century conduit for the latest breaking news in clinical nutrition and how to care and fuel that wonderful body you're trapped in. So feel free to call in with your questions. The toll-free number, 888-588-7576. That's 888-588-7576. And you can visit us online, qnlabs.com, and out there you'll find prior broadcasts, our radio listening times around the country, and of course our Saturday 1-hour blockbuster show times. So by all means, visit us online, tell a friend, have them join us for Saturday as well. And if you haven't, qnlabs.com is the address. And don't forget, every day we come to you, we've got a blockbuster special to reward you and your family for tuning in so you can enjoy and keep your very, very best health. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about lecithin granules. These, we call them Lessie granules, and these are loaded with very critical phosphatides, and they act as an emulsifier. So if we've had an issue with gallbladder, you lost your gallbladder, or perhaps you don't have the best structure of function for gallbladder, you eat a meal that's got a bit of fat to it, this can be a wonderful solution, taking anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon at a meal that's high in fat can help you to emulsify and absorb that fat. And of course, the lecithin granules are really great support for the brain, the nervous system, and of course, emulsifying fats, as we've already mentioned. It's a really nice, clean product. It won't have any of the proteins in it, so there's no GMO worry of any kind. And this is a very key essential nutrient, especially for children, people that exercise very hard. This is really great. All of you who've lost your gallbladder, or you don't have the best function for the gallbladder, that's the one you want to get on. And we'll also today have our Toco Gold on special. This is a stabilized form of rice bran, and so it really has a great taste. It delivers extraordinary nutrition. It's a source of carotenoids, phytosterols, and even vitamin E, and so much more. This is a great additive to a smoothie if you're doing hard cardiovascular exercise, or for children so they'll have plenty of energy, and it tastes really good. And both of these guys will be on special today, our Lessie granules and our Toco Gold. You'll buy one, get the second one 50% off. So just give a buzz to the order line, and they will help you. 800-370-3447. 800-370-3447. All right, we're ready to go to the phones. We still have some lines open, you guys, if you want to call in with your nutrition and health-related calls. You reach us toll-free, 888-588-7576. That's 888-588-7576. Let's go right to the phones. Let's go to Phil in Chicago, and he wants to know what's the best way to protect yourself from secondhand smoke. Obviously, not to be around it, but
that's not reality.
That's not reality, and you're right. And so, the two things that can be done here. One is to make sure that you have a really good antioxidant literature, and these antioxidants have different roles. They get to different parts of the bodies, and for most of us who are exposed to a lot of ionizing radiation from computer screens and TVs and devices like this, our automobile, the smart thing to do is get on some melatonin, maybe anywhere from 3 to 6 milligrams, and that would be maybe 2 or 3 drops at night. That one gets to every place in the whole body. So that's kind of number